Well, this episode is a bit of a mixed bag in my opinion, so let's do this. Alright guys, gals, and everything in between, I'm here today to review for you Doctor Who Season 12 or Series 12, Episode 3, titled Orphan 55. So Orphan 55 is a story where they discover they have a vacation of all amenities included at this resort spa on a planet that's supposed to be paradise, but not as all what it may seem. Now, when I say in the beginning that this episode is a bit of a mixed bag, I mean more 2 acts of it are great, and then it kind of falls apart at the end, is the way I see it. But let's start with the positives. The visuals. The visuals look great. And it just felt epic and movie-like. It didn't feel like cheap TV. It felt really, really good quality. The acting was all really good. All the characters brought their A-game, or the actors, I should say, brought their A-game. And the writing this season compared to last season is definitely a huge improvement. When the characters have convictions, I believe what they're saying. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like they're just sort of half-assing it, if you will. Jodie Whittaker definitely has a lot more that she can do this season. I really like the balance she's playing with goofy versus serious. I do feel like sometimes she does kind of teeter a little too far on one end or the other, depending on the episode. Though I will say that I definitely prefer it when Whittaker's being more serious versus when she's being goofy. Although she does have some charm when she's being kind of a little bit like a space case, which kind of harkens back to Patrick Troughton's second Doctor, which I really like. Now, this episode, it's really about them trying to get back to this facility from these creatures called the Dregs. And the Dregs looked really cool. They were a unique monster. They were more or less the imps from Doom. And that was all really cool. That was intense. They had some really cool scenes where you'd see them coming through this fog, and it looked really good. Let's get to the shortcomings. This episode falls apart in about the last 8 to 10 minutes of this episode. I really enjoyed it up until that point, because it then turns into what I will call this the Greta Thunberg minute, where they essentially want to give a PSA. Now, instead of putting it in subtle context, it's to the point that the Doctor gives a lecture on climate change right there to the TARDIS crew and all of this, and even to the point that they say every scientist has warned against this and everything, and then, you know, the planet can either live or die and all this, and it's so like slapping you in the face with it, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with it. It just feels lazy that you go, oh, well, I want to include a message, so type my exact message. You could have put it in so many other ways with context. Which Doctor Who has done great throughout the years. There's messages that I don't necessarily agree with, and there's messages I agree with that have been put in great context by putting it under the surface and making you think about it. This episode doesn't do that. It just says, oh yeah, humanity kind of wiped out the Earth, which actually they've seen the Earth in the future, so I don't know when this lines up time-wise, but either way, it just doesn't make sense. Well, it's been wiped out, and here is our message of climate change brought to you by an after-school PSA. It reminded me of Sonic Says from the old Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon, where Sonic the Hedgehog gives some message at the end of the episode kind of thing, and it felt cheesy and cheap like that, and Doctor Who's better than that. And it just kind of cheapened the episode, because the writing definitely is better, and then it just kind of went... Those are my thoughts on this episode. As you know, I don't really do my regular normal ratings for Doctor Who, or for TV, I should say. So I'm going to score this episode about a 3 out of 5. Had they nailed the context of the episode a little differently, it'd probably be a 4 out of 5 because that writing and the visuals all really brought it home. It was really well done until probably the last 10 minutes. Alright, guys, gals, and everything in between, what did you think of the episode? Did you agree with me? Did you disagree? Don't forget to like and subscribe. I got plenty more videos coming to you. Love you guys.